Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Nelly from Hoopin' Life. Today, I'm going to show you guys the top 5 basketball injuries and show you guys some exercises on how to prevent them and recover from them. Let's go. Injuries are a huge part of sports, whether it's basketball, football, volleyball, any type of sports, they're bound to happen. But how do we prevent them from happening and how do we recover from them correctly when they do happen? I'm here with my guy Z. He is the director of performance for our Macau Black Bears team. Z has worked in the NBA with the Phoenix Suns. He's also worked with a couple of teams in the CBA, and he's also worked in the FIBA World Cup here in China.
Hey, what's up guys? My name is Zishan, but all my players call me Z, and I'm really excited to be here today with Nelly because I think it's really important to get the information out to all the hoopers around the world who are tired of their aches, their pains, their injuries, keeping them from getting on the court and doing what they really love to do.
Absolutely, and with the help of Z and I today, we are going to show you guys the top 5 most common basketball injuries and show you guys some exercises on how to prevent them from happening and recover from them if they do happen. All right, man, you ready?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Starting off the list, we have the ankle sprain, which is the most common injury across all sports, but we see it happen a lot in basketball, especially if you're coming down from a bad landing, whether you're stepping on somebody's foot or your own foot, or you're just slipping on the court. Ankle sprains usually happen that way. So there's actually 2 types of ankle sprains, an inversion where you turn your foot inward and eversion where you turn your foot outward. Man, Z, I don't know how many ankle sprains I've had over the course of my life, playing basketball. I would say it's probably like 1,000 times at least. But I mean, with the help of you've helped me strengthen my ankles with the help of your Z Kit. Why don't you tell us a little about, what the Z Kit is all about?
Sure, so after working with pro ball players all over the world, I realized something was missing. I saw that a lot of players weren't really sure how to activate and prepare their bodies before activity or rehab and help themselves after an injury. So I decided to do something about it. I collected 10 of the top tools and put them all together to help activate, mobilize, and strengthen your body to help prevent injuries and improve performance. And I put them all together in an easy to use travel kit that you could take with you anywhere. And that's how I came up with the Z Kit.
Man, after being able to, play professionally with the Macau Black Bears and meeting you and be able to use the Z Kit, I've got to say the Z Kit is super clutch in terms of, helping me build up strength and recovering from any type of injuries. But going back to the ankle sprain, Z, the ankle sprain happens so often in basketball. How are we able to prevent them from happening?
Sure, so there's many ways, but I have several ways that I can show you just using the Z Kit how to prevent, and here's the top 3.
These exercises focus on flexibility, strength, and balance. You'll need a foam roller and a mobility wedge. If you don't have a mobility wedge, that's okay, but it definitely enhances the exercise. Foam rolling the calf and Achilles is a great form of self-massage. Doing this daily before activity can help to keep the ankle joint loose and mobile. Spend about 1 minute on each side. The next exercise utilizes the mobility wedge to strengthen the muscles of the calf and ankle. Doing eccentric calf raises, which means going up quick and down slow, can help to load the tendon of the Achilles and strengthen and bulk up the calf muscle. An added benefit is that the calf reaches up and attaches behind the knee, providing support there as well. Do 15 to 20 reps on each side. The next exercise is a balance activity that utilizes the mobility wedge as well. Place the low angle of the wedge on the outer portion of the midfoot. This helps to train the everter muscles. When we do this over time, it can help us to avoid inversion ankle sprains. Do 3 sets of 30 seconds on each leg.
Man, I used to hate foam rolling and it's just so tedious, but after, knowing how effective foam rolling is, it became my best friend. All right, Z, what about, let's just say I already sprained my ankle, how do I recover from it?
Sure, so if you just had an ankle sprain, obviously wait until the pain and the swelling has gone away, but let me show you 2 exercises that'll help you recover from it really fast.
For these exercises, you'll need the mobility wedge and the long thin band. The 4-way ankle is a great way to strengthen the ankle in all 4 directions. First, we start with plantar flexion, similar to like a gas pedal motion. Push downward and do about 30 reps. Next, we have inversion, or swinging the ankle inward. Also do 30 into eversion, and then you can wrap the long thin band around something or have someone hold it for you as you do dorsiflexion or pulling your toes up toward the chin. After an ankle sprain, doing gentle stretching for the calf and soleus can help to improve the mobility of the ankle. Using the mobility wedge, place your heel on the floor and your toes on the upward angle of the wedge. As your knee stays straight and you lean into the wall, you'll feel a pull at the top of the calf. Hold that for 30 seconds. For the soleus stretch, bend the back knee and drop your hips straight down to the floor. Now you'll feel a pull in the top of the Achilles. This is targeting the soleus, the muscle under the calf.
Moving on to the next injury on the list, we have the hip and thigh injuries. There are 3 injuries that are the most common: hamstring strain, groin injury, and hip flexor strain. Usually these injuries happen when you have weak and tight muscles and you go on and make a very explosive movement. Man, Z, I remember tearing my hamstring, in the beginning of the year. That has by far been the worst injury in my, basketball career. I just know it's a super nagging injury. And in the beginning, it was probably because, I think my hamstring was very weak and it was very tight. I didn't do enough stretches. Back then, I wasn't that knowledgeable, but now, with the help of you, teaching me everything, we'll let everybody know how we can prevent this from happening for everybody else.
Sure. These can be some nagging injuries for basketball players. Groin strains, hamstring strains, make it really tough for you to do the job that you need to do. So let me show you 2 ways for each exercise how to prevent it and 2 ways how to recover from an injury if you already have one.
For these exercises, you'll need the Z slides, the long thin band, and the long thick band. The best way to prevent hamstring strains is to eccentrically load them. This first exercise has 3 different variations, starting from easiest to hardest. Fix the long thin band around something that will not move and put both of your feet on the slides. Lay flat on your back and slide both of your feet in quickly and out slowly. Do 20 reps. This next version adds a bridge, so we push our hips straight up toward the ceiling, and on one leg we hold tight. The other leg slides in quick and slides out slow. Again, this eccentrically loads the hamstring. This third version is the hardest. We bridge up with both feet, and as we maintain that bridge, we slide both feet in quickly, and then we slide both heels out slowly. Again, slide both in quickly, and then slide both out slowly. Do 10 to 15 reps. This next exercise is the best hamstring prevention exercise of all, the Nordic hamstring. For this, you'll need someone to hold your feet, or you'll have to wedge them under something that's immovable. Place your hands across your chest and maintain a straight line with your body. As you fall forward towards the floor, you'll feel your hamstrings engage. Hold tight and come back slow. Do 8 to 10 reps, but be safe because this exercise will make you sore. So as you move forward on each one, feel how far you can go and then come back. Each time, try and move forward a little bit further. After a hamstring strain, it's important to continue to work on the flexibility of the hamstring and hip. Using the long thin band, wrap it around the ball of the foot. Keep your legs straight and pull up towards your chest. Hold for 30 seconds to a minute. After that, you can also add straight leg raises, pushing down toward the ground to activate the hamstring. Another way to recover after a hamstring strain is to continue to work on your mobility and eccentric hamstring strength. Laying in the prone position or on your stomach, you can loop the long thin band around your foot and fix it to something that won't move. As you curl your ankle towards your butt, you'll feel the hamstrings engage. Do this quickly and let go slowly. Perform 20 to 30 reps on each side. Also remember, the further away you move from the fixed position of the long thin band, the greater the resistance will be. Adjust accordingly. Preventing groin injuries for basketball players is super important. These 2 exercises will help you do that. The first exercise utilizes the Z slides. Standing firm on one leg with a good knee bend, place your heel on the Z slide. Slide laterally outward and then push down into the floor and drag that foot back in. Again, slide out laterally, push down into the floor and drag that foot back in. This next exercise is called standing hip adduction, and it targets the adductor muscles or groin muscles directly. Fix the long thin band around something low and immovable, and standing on one leg, let's say your left leg, put the band around the inside of your right leg. As you're standing on one leg, slide that right leg over past the midline of the body and then back slowly. So quickly across the midline of the body and then back slowly. Now let's talk about recovering from a groin strain. As you can see, each time we're saying to recover from an injury, it's going to involve gentle stretching of the structures. One of the best ways to stretch the groin is to abduct the hips and let the legs fall out laterally. Place a Z-slide under each knee and ensure that your knee is located directly underneath your hip. Gently and slowly let your knees fall out laterally as you drop the midline of your body toward the floor. You're going to feel a strong stretch here in the groin, so do this very slow and very safe. Hold each stretch for 1 minute and do that 3 times each. This next exercise can help recover from a groin strain by activating the groin and strengthening the hips. Laying flat on your back, place the core ball in between your knees. Activate your core, squeeze the ball, and bridge your hips up toward the ceiling. Do 20 reps, 3 times. The next injury we'll discuss are hip flexor strains. These can happen from having tight and weak hip flexor muscles or making an explosive movement to the basket. This hip flexor stretch utilizes a Z-slide. Place one slide underneath the knee of the hip flexor you want to stretch. Gently slide that knee posteriorly or backwards until you feel a stretch in the anterior hip. Once you feel a stretch and your body says stop, hold that position for 30 seconds. Once this becomes easy, you can raise the hand on the same side as the foot that is back for an extra added stretch. Do this 3 times, 30 seconds on each time.
Moving on to the next common injury on the list, we have shoulder injuries. The one we want to talk about is the impingement syndrome, which one of our teammates actually has. Z, what is that?
Impingement syndrome happens in the anterior shoulder. It's actually a narrowing of a small space that causes pain when there's inflammation. So anytime you bring your shoulder across here, you'll feel pain, or anytime you bring your shoulder back, you'll feel pain in the anterior shoulder.
Yeah, I know that's really useful information to know, because impingement syndrome, basketball, you gotta shoot. So if you have that pain, it's gonna be hard for you to shoot. You can be throwing up bricks left and right. How would one recover from the injury? Let's just say if they have it for quite some time now.
Sure, so the first thing is we gotta get rid of that inflammation. So you have to do what you have to do for that, but then we need to strengthen the shoulder anteriorly and posteriorly to make sure it doesn't happen again. Here's a few exercises that you can do.
For this exercise, get a low resistance mini band and place it around both of your wrists. Keeping your elbows tight by your side, your core tight, and your back straight, rotate both of your wrists away from the midline of the body or into external rotation. This will activate 2 of the main external rotators of the rotator cuff, strengthening up the back of the shoulder. This next exercise is called the wall clock. Again, get a low resistance mini band and place it around both wrists. Keeping one hand firm and stable against the wall, the other hand is going to reach as if it was reaching the numbers of a clock to the 2 o'clock position, 3 o'clock position, and 4 o'clock position. Keep the elbow straight and locked out. This helps to stabilize the scapula or shoulder blade, strengthen up the overall shoulder, and help prevent pain. Another great shoulder strengthening exercise is called horizontal abduction. Placing a mini band at the wrist, keep your elbows locked out and move your hands away from each other, feeling tension between your hands on the band. Slowly rotate both arms up into shoulder flexion and then back down again. You'll feel the tension in between your hands, but fight the resistance of the bands to pull your hands together. This next exercise utilizes the long thin band. Place it underneath both of your feet and in both of your hands, creating a square. With your thumbs up and your elbows locked out, raise both arms up into shoulder flexion, and then back down again. Do 20 to 30 reps. It's really important for this exercise that you keep your core tight and you don't arch your back. There's no need to bring your arms straight back past your head. This next drill is called scaption and is a great drill to strengthen many of the muscles around the shoulder and prevent new and further injury. Using the long thin band, place one part of it underneath your foot and the other part of it in your hand with your thumb up and elbow locked out. Find a tension that works for you just to bring your arm up to about 90 degrees. The angle of your arm and shoulder should be 45 degrees in between flexion and abduction. We call this last exercise band pull-aparts. Using the long thin band, grab it firmly in both of your hands and pull it straight across your chest, keeping your arms straight. This is a great exercise to protect your shoulders from wear and tear by strengthening the shoulder stabilizers and the upper back muscles.
Moving on to the next injury on the list, we have the wrist and hand injuries. A common injury is the wrist sprain. This usually happens when you're falling on an outstretched hand, preventing a fall. You usually see this a lot when you see a player, brace their fall by putting their hand outward first and then they land onto the ground, whereas they put a lot of impact of that fall into the wrist. Another common hand injury are jammed fingers. This usually happens when a ball is thrown at you, directly at your fingers where you jam them, or if your finger gets caught on a jersey and it gets yanked back, hence my thumb injury. And as a hooper, I'm sure this had happened to you at least once in your lifetime. Z, I know a lot of people out there don't think about this at all. Strengthening your fingers are really important. Can you tell them a little about that?
Sure, so wrist and hand injuries can be really nagging injuries as everything we do involves our hands on the court. So I'm going to show you guys a few ways to help strengthen the muscles in your wrist and your hand.
If you've ever had a jammed finger, you know they're tough injuries to recover from and could sometimes last a long time. Here are a few exercises that can help you rehab. To target and strengthen the muscles of the wrist and hand, we need to isolate the flexor and extensor muscle groups. These grip strengthening tools come with the Z kit. If you don't have them, you can find alternate ways to do this. With the grip strengthener, place it in your hand, squeeze it slowly, and hold for 3 to 5 seconds, and then release it slowly. Do this for 30 to 40 reps. Following that exercise, we need to target the extensor muscle group of the wrist and hand. More commonly, these extensors are weaker than the flexor muscles, so this exercise will feel much more difficult. Place the finger web around the tips of each finger, keep them straight and locked out, and extend them as far as you can. Do this for 30 to 40 reps. This is a vitally important exercise for basketball players, as every floater, jump shot, and three-point shot involves wrist extension. This next series of exercises is a great way to strengthen the elbow, wrist, and hand. Using a long thin band, and as you can see Nelly is protecting his knee with a Z-slide, find a table or something to support your forearm. With your palm facing downward, bring the wrist up into wrist extension, similar to the motion of revving a motorcycle. Do 20 to 30 reps. Then flip your hand over with your palm facing upward, similar to a bicep curl. Let your wrist fall down and then come up into flexion. Do 20 to 30 reps here as well. Lastly, turn your hand to the side and let the pinky side of your hand fall to the floor and then come up, similar to the motion of a hammer. Do 20 to 30 reps here as well. Using the inflatable core crusher ball from the Z kit, place the ball firmly in your hand. With all 5 fingers spread apart, grip tightly till your fingers touch. Hold for 3 to 4 seconds and then release slowly. Do 30 to 40 reps on both hands, but specially isolate the hand that has the injury. One of the great features of the finger web is that it's easy to use for other exercises as well. If you have a finger injury on one of your fingers, you can use the finger web to isolate that finger and do flexion, extension, and abduction exercises with that. Here we see Nelly doing flexion exercises for a finger he previously has jammed.
Moving on to the biggest and toughest injuries of them all, we have the knee injuries, more specifically ACL and ligament injuries. These injuries usually happen due to deceleration, bad landings, or people falling on your knee. Some examples would be Derrick Rose, when he goes really fast and then he stops all really sudden, just puts a lot of pressures on the knee. That's how he tore his ACL. Another guy is Sean Livingston. I don't know if you guys watched the video. I don't know if I would recommend you guys watch it, but it's gruesome, it's nasty. He tore his ACL due to a bad landing after a layup. And there are countless of other examples of ACL tears and ligament injuries, whether it's in NBA or all across basketball. ACL and ligament injuries are by far the biggest and toughest injuries in basketball. They could be career-ending injuries. How do we prevent them from happening?
So since it's difficult to talk about recovery, let's talk about prevention. We need to strengthen the large muscle groups of the hips and the knees to prevent you from getting an ACL tear. Here's some examples of how to do that.
One great exercise is called the total knee extension, or TKE. This is a great functional exercise to gain quad control and quad strength. Take the long thick band and fix it to something immovable and place it just behind the knee. Let the knee relax and bend, and then forcefully contract the knee, giving yourself a strong quad contraction, and hold for 3 to 5 seconds. Do this for 20 to 30 reps on each side. This next exercise is called the Spanish squat, an extremely useful exercise as it reduces knee compression while heavily loading the quads. Fix the long thick band to something immovable, place both feet inside the band, and back up until you have a strong resistance. Keep your feet closer than shoulder width apart, and then sit your butt down to about 90 degrees. As you hold this, you will start to feel the front of your quads close to your knee burn. Hold for 15 to 20 seconds, and then gently and slowly stand up. Do 3 to 5 sets of this, and once this becomes easy, you can start to hold the Spanish squat for 30 to 45 seconds each set. This next exercise isolates the glute muscle, a large primary mover muscle. When really strong, this muscle can help prevent ACL injuries. With a mini band around the knees, lay flat on your stomach. With your knee completely bent to 90, try to get the sole of your shoe up toward the ceiling. Do not let your hips rotate or come up off the floor. Do 30 reps on each side. This last exercise is a single leg squat performed on an incline using the mobility wedge. When we go down slow and we come up quick, We eccentrically load the tendons of the anterior knee and the hamstring. Do 10 to 15 reps on each side. There are numerous ways to prevent ACL injuries, and many of them we've shown you in this video. Calf raises, Nordic hamstring curls, bridges, and everything we've shown you in this ACL section.
Hope you guys enjoyed that video on the top 5 most common basketball injuries. This is really great information to have whether you guys are a hooper or just an athlete who plays any type of sports. Injuries are, the worst thing to happen. You want to prevent them from happening. But if they did already happen, we showed you guys some great ways on how you guys can recover from them. Like we mentioned before, injuries are a huge part of sports. They're bound to happen. But with these exercises, it can help you prevent them from happening.
So if you're a young hooper trying to make it to the next level or an old baller trying to play as long as you can, just remember that health and taking care of your body is the most important thing if you want to continue playing sports.
In the comment section below, let us know if you guys had any of the injuries that we mentioned. Also, let us know what other injuries that you guys want us to cover. Shout out to Z, and for anyone who plays sports, I highly recommend the Z Kit as it will help take care of your body and prevent injuries and take your game to the next level. And you guys can use my code Nelly Chan to get 10% off your Z Kit. Just click on the link in the description box down below and it'll take you there. Make sure to follow my guy Z on Instagram. He posts a lot of health and fitness stuff on his Instagram. His social media will be in the description box down below along with mine. Make sure to follow your boy. Make sure to check out these other videos over here. And until next time, it's your boy Nelly Nell. I'm here with Z. I hope you guys learned something and we out. Peace.